Good morning, people. I am just going to do a quick run through with you today. It has become spring very quickly in the middle of August, and we have been running around doing a lot of things on the property. I missed last Saturday's tour, taking some time for my mind, which is something I've learned finally, and there has been a lot on my plate this last couple of weeks. So I'm going to do a quick run around with you and show you what's been happening and how everything's been growing out of control, and show you a few projects that I've been working on. So the kitchen garden is something that I've been neglecting until yesterday afternoon, when I've pulled out the radishes from here and ended up putting some extra paunch on top, and then planted in some of the little seedlings. Like I've got some violets in here and some straight neck zucchinis that I've popped in place of the radish. I need to finish up here and get a few more things in. I'm going to do this over here as well, and things will pick up. This time last year I was harvesting so many black Russian tomatoes, and this year we've only just started to get them on. We had a late season start because I was away, but also we didn't stop getting rain until late May, which is unusual, but things struggle out here if we get too much rain. So I didn't pop them in until later. That's fine. They'll keep powering. You can see everything in here. All the weeds are just taking over. So that's a project. This garden over here, the other kitchen garden, I've got the 4 different types of tomatoes. So this one's absolutely loaded, and look how gorgeous and round they are. So this tomato here looks like it's some sort of Roma. Excuse me. And Romas never do well out here, so I'm not too worried about that. Look how tiny that thing is. These Bellotti beans are struggling here, so I'm going to just mulch them back into the garden. And this garden is going to be filled with some fish frames, so I can plant the ox heart tomatoes in here shortly. This lemon, now that I've given it some extra stuff, has started to take off, which is fantastic. I've got a hole that it's going into, and it's going to go in the ground. I've decided not to keep things in pots because watering is not as easy for the pots because I don't have the irrigation set up for them, and everything in them struggles. This is the basil. That bloody disease that we got from the hardware store is just decimating my basil, which is just annoying. Thyme, looking awesome. So my asparagus garden is taking off. Look at the colour of that. How sensational is that? And look underneath, it's beautifully green. Absolutely gorgeous. You can leave. Nasturtiums, beautiful. Look at these baby asparagus, just looking absolutely gorgeous. More nasturtiums, asparagus. This garden is just doing so well. This volunteer borage is got all these little extras, so I'm hoping to get some seeds off that. And I'm guessing this little guy is just in a pocket of denseless, nutrient-dense space, but I planted beans under here so they can start climbing up these stalks, which are getting their heads. They're going to just look incredible, and they're going to be so tall. So over here, more lovely weeds. Some more of this red mustard. How sensational. Look at it. That colour, it just blows me away. Look how gorgeous it is. Sunflowers. We've got a little zinnia flower popping through there, and some beans. So all the sunflowers have beans planted under them now, so they can start growing up the stalk. It is the perfect time for beans. It has started to warm up during the day, but not the perfect time for radish because now they're not happy. But I have been picking out the bulbs. They've been bulbing up quickly, and I've been thinning them out and munching them down just standing here. A little lady beetle. We have been getting some disease or pests mostly now, because the heat during the day seems to make them explode. So, but you can see over here we've got some spiders popping through. I've seen some wasps too coming in, which is fantastic for those grubs. The little birds have been doing a fantastic job. That's why I love having so many trees around the place. Those little birds, they have all the protection they need so they can swoop around in and out, and they literally just come in and feast off all the little grubs. So I'll come out and I'll check for caterpillars in the afternoon, anything that they haven't got, which is pretty much not often. I'll just pluck those off. But yeah, the cabbage, they get nailed. But yeah, this was the green manure crop, and I decided this patch here, I wanted some more space for zucchini, so I just chopped all the green manure back in, covered it in mulch. They're still trying to grow, and I'm actually going to put some more paunch on top of that too because it needs a little bit more. Kale looking awesome. That's all still green manure. It'll all get chopped in soon because I want that space. This is what this green manure does. It comes in and it feeds the soil all these different things. Like that is a grain, and they've got legume little nodules on the bottom of their roots, and you chop them back in and then they'll start to break down and help the soil microbacteria. And these radishes, they dig down and they will break up the soil. I'll pull one off and you can have a look. So they snapped it off. Anyway, so it's down there and it will break down and it'll help aerate the soil. We've eaten a few of those as well. So nasturtiums are really starting to take off now. They are going to look absolutely glorious. These were the chilies. They're the cayenne peppers that I transplanted and popped over and trimmed back, and they're starting to take off now. They'll be flowering, fruiting by summer. These are eggplant I also transplanted, and look at those. I'm actually going to chop them off young. There's so many flowers, absolutely chock-a-block. Some more little zinnias. The sage is really taking off now. These are the yellow pear tomatoes that volunteered. They're actually doing great too. The beans, purple beans, they're starting to take off. And these little purple beans, they're the bush ones. Look at the flowers on those. Look at that spectacular colour. Alright, these beautiful tomatoes, absolutely chock-a-block fruiting. They're the Italian variety. They're doing really well. I will be saving seeds of those and planting again. I planted some peanuts last year and replanted some of those seeds, and look at those, they're coming up. More of these beans. Look at those flowers, just gorgeous. So these beans planted, was too cold for them, but look, they're starting to take off now too. I put some extra line in so they can climb up, but look, oh, that one I'll probably eat this afternoon. It's a bit late, I know, because it's starting to get warm, but I had some mammoth snow peas last year that were just crazy insane. I had them on too small a trellis and they just waved over top of it. So now they're on a really tall trellis, but I'm not going to get many off these. I planted a heap of seeds and only 2 come up, and that's my own fault because I just left the seeds in a bowl sitting there all year. So I'm glad I've got at least 2, and whatever comes off those pods, I'm going to save those seeds for next year and get them in early. And I will plant cucumbers there again because I've got them in the ground now and they are powering. Those seeds have just sprouted. So our little cabbages, they're starting to get heads forming in them. Look at that moth that's floating around there. That is actually laying eggs. But when the caterpillars come out, those birds are going to swoop around and collect them all, which is great. But I may need to put a cloth over them if it gets too much. I also don't want to do anything about the pests. I want to see if I can get some of the good insects to start populating as well. I may even buy some in and let them hatch, like the lacewings and the lady beetles, because I did see some aphids on a flower plant the other day, although they've been cleaned up now, so maybe I don't need to buy them in. But yeah, they look so cute. check out this. Remember a couple of weeks ago when I planted those tiny little tomatoes that only had their first seed leaves into this bed? look at them, and look at the lettuce. How insane. They are just loving it. I'm going to pick one of those. We've been eating lots of lettuce, and at the moment we feel so rich because lettuces are like $18 each, which is just bonkers. But we've got them growing here. Probably I've even chucked some in the compost. Just waste, just throwing money away. Goodness. Pop some beans in. They're taken off. These are Tomato Tropic. Check out. They're an F1 hybrid, and I'm guessing, well, I'm not guessing, I'm hoping the fruit's still going to be amazing and not have that hard skin like you get the ones at the supermarket. But then again, they're picked early green and ripened up, whereas these ones will ripen on the vine. But check that out. How thick is that stem? And look, it's got two. It's broken off into a few different ones, and I'm just going to leave them all. As it starts to get a bit floppier and a bit longer, I'll pull it through and it'll weave through this. So they're all trellised and just incredible. Incredible. Look at it. They are loving that space. And they've got plenty of nutrients. They're in a foot of paunch there, so they're not going to have any trouble competing. Sunflower. Beautiful. Well, like I said, we're at the end of the season for peas. It's getting too hot now. They don't like it. When we had that rain a little while ago and it was freezing, they were absolutely powering. So they are just something that loves the cold, loves the damp, loves the rain. So we're starting to see the flowers. There's no flowers. We have been eating quite a few of them, and I left them for a day or two, so we ended up having really big snow peas on them. The carrots, they're starting to take off now, which is great. And these beans always struggled because it was too cold. We've got a few on it. I've been eating a few. But anyway, these will probably in the next, maybe in about 2 weeks' time, I will pull or just chop them all back into the soil, chop up that soil there. I have some bamboo poles that I want to put over these star pickets, and I'm going to put up proper. I'm going to string this up nicely so it's nice and firm and a lot taller, because next time, well, I'll put cucumbers in here now, excuse me, and next time I'll be planting the mammoth ones again, and they just grow like 8 foot, so they'll need the taller trellis. We got heaps of new seedlings in the ground. I've planted all the summer stuff that I want to plant because I have a new garden bed going. I have planted alright, so they're the last lot of plantings. There's some herbs and thyme, and they're the violets and some chamomile. I'll get them in today. Here is a heap of seeds of Chinese broccoli that I had left over. So once again, I'm going to have a million or something, and they'll probably go in with all the spare, at the back of the shed with the spare red mustards. And cucumbers, those ones are more calendulas. That's looks like some sort of anyway, I've planted all the other stuff out. I've put out corn, more pickling cucumbers, and a lot of summer stuff. I put in there's some more pickling cucumber. Actually, they might be sunflowers because I had some of those left over. These are the tomatoes that I planted in just plain old seed raising mix, and they struggled for 2 weeks. They didn't get past their seed leaves, and I made up my own mix to put them in, and now look, within a week they're powering. So they're the Brandywine tomatoes. They're a potato leaf tomato, a bit like the mortgage lifter. They don't do particularly well here, but they're going into some sensational soil, so I'm just going to see how they go and give them another crack. Here, that's the winter gourd, wax gourd, sorry, and I've got them in special, and they don't germinate so well. I got 3 packets, I've put 2 in, and so what did I get? A packet of 10 seeds. So out of 10 seeds, so 20 seeds, I got 11 plants. So not great germination. They're meant to be an F1, so they should have all come up, but anyway, we'll nurture these ones and see how they go. These are summer squash, and I've got spots for those. I've already put in my pumpkins and zucchinis, and I'll show you that as well down the front, because I made some fire pits and popped them in the fire pits because I had some waste that had been drying for about a year, and I made them into little piles so I could burn them for the pumpkin pits. So these are the Maconi capsicums. Same thing with those tomatoes. I put some more Maconis in, and look, they couldn't get past their seed leaves. So I've popped them straight into the paunch here, and they will just rocket now. Up the back, so I had a tray of seeds that were squash and pumpkins, and then the dogs flipped them and I had to pop them all back in, so then I had to guess what they were. So I'm hoping those ones there are squash. No, sorry, I'm hoping those ones are zucchinis, so they won't actually trail off. This one I think is a Big Max, and I want that to go off that way because I've got two more over there that I want to go that way. And it's got a bit of powdery mildew already. I will snip that leaf off today and give them a spray of maybe some bicarb soda just to make sure nothing else takes off. I can see it on the other one. Here, this garden now is starting to go crackers because it's just got so warm all of a sudden. I planted these from tiny little seeds 2 weeks ago, and even these, that's thyme that I planted last week, and it was only this big, and now look at it. So I've got turnips, spinach, and beetroot, and over here are the kohlrabi. So we've got purple and green kohlrabi. Here are the Sunny Boy tomatoes. Look how sensational they are. They have absolutely taken off. I'm just trying to figure out right now how I'm going to trellis these bad boys, because I've got the bed falling over here. It's just turned, like just pushed itself over when I filled it up. So I've got a stake there. I wanted to have another one here so I could run something across both ways. Anyway, we'll sort it out. So down at the base, because we got a lot of nutrient that just comes straight out, I planted sunflowers and some zinnias, so they are starting to take off now. In here we've got the calendulas, lettuce, zinnias, and I may have actually planted some violets in here too, the little edible violets. Look at those lettuce. Don't they look gorgeous? I love that reddish colour. The pumpkins. I cleaned up all those pumpkins. Look at all these flies in my compost. So I'm going to mow the lawn today, and I'm going to cover all that up with lawn clippings, and all those flies will get smothered, which would be excellent. Here, check this out. Remember, they were all so tiny, all those tiny little seedlings. So the broccolini, absolutely powering. It's getting warm now, so it may shoot to seed, which is great because that means the flowers will come up quicker. I've been harvesting all the lettuce in here because it's gotten hot. They are starting to bolt, but also because they're competing, they're getting long stems, but they're still lovely to eat. They're not bitter. All these lettuce, just gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. So we've been picking into that lettuce, lots of salad sandwiches, sunflowers. I had lettuce all in amongst these, so obviously we've eaten all of those now because they were just getting covered and competing. You can see where I've just snapped them off down there. I've also been trimming back the leaves because we've been eating them, so they're starting to head up now. I had a little pest problem, but I left that there because I want to get more of the good species coming in that are going to clean up those pests, and it looks like it's done well. So yeah, I may still put a cover over these ones, I'm not sure yet. So these are the Anaheim chilies up the back. They're really starting to power now. I did have to trim back some of these leaves because they were heading off that way. I've cleaned up most of the lettuce over there so they could spread out. I also have spinach in the back there, and I've got some, where is it? Oh, here, some green mustard. I only had 4 seeds come up out of that, so I really nurtured those ones in here. Oh, that's a sunflower. So you know you're gonna be in for a sensational looking display when you're seeing all of these come up on your sunflowers. Every single one of those will have a sunflower head, and you'll have a head there as well. It looks so good. Look, now that had the, yeah, look, you can see that had all the aphids on it. Obviously done itself in, or something has anyway. Oh well, it'll get mowed. Yeah, so been cleaning up the lettuce in here so they can start to form a bulb. This one's started to sprout and head bolt to seed because it's warm, and that's cool. I'll let it go because we love flowers. This pumpkin was last season's pumpkin. It's just taken off again. It's coming out the bottom there. Alright, so flowers, Anaheims. Look, they're all going to be sunflowers. Just gorgeous. Look at it all sprouting out. Hey? Oh, look at those. Beautiful. They're all starting to break off into separate sections, and they've got flowers on them as well. So they're our Anaheims. Flowers, Anaheims. Actually, I think that might be a weed. So chilies, lettuce, I'm going to eat that today. Yeah, looking awesome. Alright. So we'll just have a quick sticky beak over at the shed garden, because even though the red mustards here, they have not been powering like those other ones, but you know, there's nothing much happening in this soil over here, so you can see they haven't done so well. But the ones in the sun, they're starting to take off. You can see all those white little beans everywhere. I just threw out some cowpeas. Look, Kookaburra's been digging in there. And just going to see if they sprout up. They can fill all the space. You can see they've cracked open even already. So, yeah. I mean, they're touching soil, so they should break open and shoot up a leaf. These I'll explain in a minute. I planted a choco, and it is starting to take off. It's not too far in the ground. I've never had any luck with this. Something comes and eats them, makes it, or it'll go rotten. It just won't take off. So fingers crossed this time I can get it to come up here. I have some old fence here. Looks pretty ragged, but I'm going to trim off all the sharp bits, and I'm going to hang it around the shed, and that'll make it nice and cool. But hopefully that will then take off. Oh, and Sticky Beak's driving past, having just a slow drive. Oh. You know, we have this spectacular privacy screen around our place, and I absolutely adore it, because there are people out here that they just cannot mind their own business, and you know, you just have to help them out and help them keep their nose in their own face. So these here, I've filled them up with water, and what I do is I sit them next to the pumpkins until I will put up a sprinkler for them when they get bigger, but at the moment they don't need a sprinkler because they're only tiny, and all they need is just a dribble of water. Hear my phone speaking? Hey, that's Aussie. Here we go. So they're my fire pits that I had. And the puppies broke off this, so I'm hoping, praying that it sprouts off a bit of a sprout. Don't you get in there. Come on. And these guys too. They are loving it. So pumpkins love a fire pit. They just love it. Morning, girls. I didn't bring any grain with me. I'll have to go and get some. We had the power off this week, so I went ahead and trimmed up this tree that was underneath our line. And now I've got a big mess to clean up, but I'm so happy with that. I'm glad that's finally done. And also one of the mango trees down here was growing up into it. I'm not worried about the top bit because that'll just keep growing up, unless of course we get a a ton of mangoes on that branch and it leans down on it, but I'll deal with that if it happens. We haven't had mangoes for 7 years, but all underneath has been cleaned up, so as it grows up it's not going to catch the line, it's not going to lean on it, so yep. Yeah, so these are filled up with water so they can, oh actually I haven't tipped them up, they're actually dripping from there. And they slowly drip onto those plants just to keep them going and give them all the moisture they need until they start to get big, and then I'll have to put a big sprinkler on them. Alright, I've got a treat for you guys. I finished putting the paunch down on this garden up here. This is our pot garden, and laid out the bales of hay that were just slick with the mycelium from behind the shed, and have started planting that out. So I have put some star pickets in the ground. This one hit a rock, so I'm probably going to have to anchor that back this way. I've just put some of our bamboo posts on it to make it look pretty, and this is some old fencing that I got from an old farmer a little while ago. Yeah, so these are all the species of squash pumpkin that the dogs tipped over, and I don't know what they are. So they're going to be a mix of yellow and black zucchinis and Big Mac's pumpkin, which I'm hoping are just these ones at the bottom and they'll spread that way. And the other ones are an autumn pumpkin. Anyway, can't remember. But these, I had 20 tomatoes left over of the tomato tropic. So some of them are going to Emu Park, some others going to town, and I planted a few more over here because they were just doing so well. The brandywines will go next to them, and the ox hearts I'm actually going to go put up at the kitchen garden. And yeah, so up the top I'll put another post up there today and keep stringing this wire. I will put another bit of wire up here as well because these are going to keep trailing up. And yeah, so I will have a trellis all the way across. So behind there I'm going to plant corn. And as we get more into the summer too, this will be the garden that I will probably end up putting shade cloth over, so we can keep stuff powering that we want to eat. You know, like lettuces and things like that don't like to be scorched from our crazy hot sun. Yeah, so you're going to watch this get filled up in the next little while. I ended up taking down the tree that was in our gully. I feel bad because the little birds love getting into it so they can get into the garden here. And what I really needed to do was plant that fig tree last year so it could take off a bit and swap it over. But I've left a few branches there. Hopefully they'll come into there. And I've used the rest to cover the black plastic, which I lay over the weeds, over the rock edge here. I'll need to do something, cover those there. So that'll just scorch out that grass over the summer. So it'll be dead when I shift it. So yeah. Get this sorted out. I did try and put this irrigation, which is connected to that irrigation, and set it all up a bit because it's so long and it was heading uphill and there was a couple of holes that were squirting. There wasn't enough pressure. So what I've decided to do is just angle it there. So it's just from that tap is just feeding that garden, and then this tap I'm just going to run off the hose and put the sprinkler on it for the minute, and then I'll use this irrigation down on maybe the watermelons when I get them in. So that's exciting. That garden bed is exciting. I'm going to do a different video for the mulch garden because that is got some good progress happening down there. All the seeds that I've put in there have come up, so that garden is great. Still not very nutrient rich, but we'll fix that. But it's good to know that there's no poisons in it, and any seeds that we've put in there are sprouting and doing okay. So yeah, that'll be a separate video. The dogs love coming and digging this, of course, because it stinks. I put in the gourds, so that gourd is going to take off. You can see there exactly how I'm using these containers. That one's almost dripped empty, so that just keeps that nice and watered and damp while it's getting established. And the other two I've put over here, so they had one on it as well, and I will bring one back over there today. And it started to vine out. These are actually a climber, and you can tell because they've got these little tendrils and they look for things, but gourds can get so heavy, especially these ones because they're the beautiful bushel gourds. So I'm going to run that one off that way and run this one off down that way, and hopefully we'll get some lovely big gourds. They did get a good dose of nitrogen from my fish emulsion when I put them in the ground, so that's why they're a little bit yellowing on the ends, but looks like it's done them fine. Down the front I've had a mow because I'm going to plant more, probably winter squash down the front there, or maybe the wax gourds, I haven't decided yet. So I've mowed back so I've got the mulch for them. I've had a few little fire pits down the front there, and that'll be happening in the next couple of weeks. So I'll show you what's been happening up here. I mowed around the bottom of the mangoes because if we end up getting mangoes this season, I want to be able to drive the ute up and pick the low-hanging fruit. You can see the Nandok Maize, they're all in flower. If we keep getting spectacular weather like this, we will have so many mangoes, they will just be dropping on the ground. So, fingers crossed. Oh my god. It's been 7 years since we've had a big crop of mangoes. That's a pink lychee. I have had a lot of different fires here. I've had quite a few different fires, that's why it's so big, because where I'm just chucking the wood pile is where it gets burnt. So yeah, it started to spread out. Looks like I've had a big fire, but anyway, that's cool because I'm going to collect up a lot of that charcoal and turn that into biochar. I'll inoculate it with my homemade fish emulsion and other fertilizers that I've made, and then chuck that back on the garden. Coal, like the char, is really good for the garden, but it is a nitrogen stealer. So if you inoculate it with the nitrogen before you go putting it in, it's not going to steal it from the soil and steal it from your plants. It'll actually help. So and then in here I'll probably plant some watermelons. Actually probably will plant watermelons all up this row. This was a row of oh my god, where are my words? This was the row of lychees. So, and these lychees, they never took off. They don't do well here. There's a few different varieties here on this property. Same with the longans. We've got some varieties that never did well, and some of them blew over after the cyclone, so I just took them out. These guys, they just struggle. So anyway, they can stay there. You never know, maybe after so many years they kick into gear. But up through here, because I've just cleaned around them when I was cleaning up under the mangoes, I'm going to plant, I've got a couple of other little trees. So I've got a pomegranate that I'm going to put in here, and I've got a little mulberry that I'm going to put in up there. I'm going to plant all the watermelons up this row as well, because then I'll still be able to, if I head them up in the direction of the row, hopefully we can get them to grow in a straight line. And I have got, I've got some dragon fruit cuttings as well, so they're going to go on these wattle trees, stumps that have been left behind, and they can grow on that. I'm going to put one on that one too. I'll trim it up a little bit more, of course, so it's not just hanging out everywhere to catch us. I left this beautiful tree here. That's a quandong. It started to get its, I think they're buttresses, are they? Look at it. It's gorgeous. So yeah, that can stay. So I'm not sure what it's called, but I did watch this video on YouTube where this guy had these rows, and he had lots and lots of different fruit trees and bananas and smaller things all cropping together, and they did really well because the biodiversity in there was incredible. So they all kind of nurtured each other, and it does make sense when you think about how everything works underneath the soil, how everything's interconnected, and if a plant needs something it will steal it from somewhere else, and they use the the bacteria and the mycelium and things that are under the soil to help each other, which is pretty cool. Yeah, this place is just teeming with rocks. Hey, they're everywhere. You got to watch them with the mower. You just smash them down. So yeah, this is what happens with these little trees. They get covered in the vine, and it doesn't take long. Yeah, that could really just be 6 months of growth, and it's covered in vine. That's what you get in a rainforest. Oh look, it's got some little flowers on it. How sweet. So yeah, I mean, I'll just leave it there. They're fine. What are they going to do? Actually, they might help shade some of the other little trees that I'm going to put in here. So yeah, I've got a pomegranate, I've got a mulberry, and some figs I'm going to put up here as well. I'm also going to take cuttings because the figs have got rootstock coming out of them. So I'm going to take some cuttings and then I'm going to graft on some of the good figs onto it. And I've also got a lemon tree that's going to go in the ground over near those gourds. So yeah, this has been coming together. I'll have to give it a mow. You can see the grass just takes off so quickly here. And yeah, I've put in a post here and I've put in 2 posts down here for the gate. I'm creating a square fence. Actually, I'll show you. Because I am going to put pigs in there for 2 years and they're going to clean all this up for me and dig up the soil and make it lovely. I've started to create a little path here and I'll actually clean that all up with the rake. I've been cleaning it up with the chainsaw, and I'll have one fence head off that way and then create the rectangle. And yeah, pigs will do so well in here. They will clean all this up and then I'm going to turn this into another massive garden, which will look awesome. Up here you can see all of this. The idea was just to let this grow and come back and let it come back as rainforest, but you know, it doesn't really work that way. Like maybe in 30 or 50 years that might have happened, because you can see we've got the macarangas. They come up early and they create a bit of a barrier for the other seeds to come up underneath them. But the problem is that this grass, the signal grass, it smothers everything, and then the wattles, they do help a little bit. They're awesome for firewood. But because we've got pigs that run through here, they eat the guavas that are everywhere, and then they drop their guava seed. So guava is a pest tree here. Also these pine trees, that one I'm just going to see how my chainsaw goes. I'm going to just knock it that way. Because we live in the forestry region, I reckon they should be responsible for coming and cleaning up their weed seeds. Anyway, that's wishful thinking. And lantana, so they're our 3. Actually, we've got a 4th one that's a weed species here too, which is, I can't think of the name of it. Oh, camphor laurel. Yeah, that's a pest as well. So yeah. So when all this is tidied up, as the pigs open it all up, I'll go through and just knock out those trees, and yeah, this space will be beautiful. And once again, the idea was just to have this come back to rainforest, but it just doesn't work that way. I think the only way you're going to make that happen, actually after the cyclone was when all the good trees started to come up. I think we had that soil disturbance, we had the seeds blow where they needed to blow, and then all those good trees started to come up. So now it's up to me to clean away the lantana and the weed trees, and anyway, I do that around here anyway. I spot spray. Oh my god, she sprays. I do, I spray. Everything has its place, and spraying also has its place, and it's not in your veggie garden, but it is in spaces like this, like your lantana. See, if I give that a spray, it knocks it back at the root. If I cut that at the base, it sprouts up even more and produces more seed and spreads more stuff out. Spraying around your boundary, perfect. That cleans up your fence lines for you, keeps them clean, and you don't have to waste time constantly cruising around with your brush cutter. And you know, the privacy screen, I mean, absolutely glorious. Look at it. No busybodies can see in here at all. So I will have this beautiful garden in here that I can enjoy, and I don't have to worry about any of the entitled sticky beaks looking in here and going, oh, what can I have? What can I take? What can I pinch? Yeah, that's what they're like. That's our small community out here. No, not all of them. Just the quote, small community. So, okay, so this almost up to the top of the mangoes, and then it goes into beautiful bushland. So here is some more firewood for me, which is awesome. This particular species of wattle, I do leave, unless it's in a really pest place that I have to mow, but I leave them, and then when they die, they're the most fantastic firewood. But this one here, I will cut that off there and actually use that as a post for dragon fruit. That one probably not, that'll be firewood, and all these other bits of firewood, maybe that'll be another dragon fruit. I mean, that's not going to fall over for maybe 15-20 years, if that. So yeah, that'll be perfect for dragon fruit. So we're up at the top of the Nang Dok Mais. These have been in here for a long time, and there's lots of growth in between. This patch of mangoes here, there's 3 different types of mangoes in here. So you've got a row of Nang Dok Mais. In the middle, there's a couple of rows of really disgusting mango that's not ripe until March, but it's just like, you might as well drink a bottle of terps. And along the outside are R2E2s, which are absolutely beautiful. But yeah, look at these gorgeous flowers. If we're lucky, if we're lucky. So yeah, I'll get in here and mow again today. These 2 trees here, the macarangas. If you even hit a macaranga, it'll send up 1,000 shoots underneath it. So I can see why they're good for good pioneer plants, but they're a pest for me. Anyway, no, they're not. No, they're not. Just in this situation. So I will actually knock that back to the ground, and I'll hit it with a bit of tree poison, because I don't want it sending up 1,000 shoots everywhere else. Oh, I can hear the comments now. Cancel her. Don't watch her videos. She sprays poison. Yep. You're probably sitting in your lounge room in your recliner chair, eating a TV dinner. It was put together in China, where they spray poisons that you don't even want to know about. You're probably using DDT on your dinner. So yeah, good on you, mate. So this is going to be awesome. I can't wait for this to come together with the extra fruit cheese. I reckon we're definitely going to put that mulberry up there. What's good about this too is when the pigs are in here, they can have all the stuff that falls on the ground. You just pick it up and chuck it over, and there's heaps for them to eat. Any of the guavas that do come on, they'll clean up them as well. I mean, really, I probably should kill them now, because they will just reseed everywhere, but you know, maybe the pigs will just keep gnawing them down. We'll see. Everything's an experiment sometimes. Yeah, this is a bit of guava that I've already taken out that was in the road. Looks pretty, but it's pretty useless. That'll go in the fire. Before I put the fence up, any of these trees that may fall over the fence, I'll get rid of. But anything else that could fall into it, that's fine. I'll just leave them. Pigs actually like to eat rotting wood and stuff. I think they get all the little critters that are in there and have a big munch. This pest here, I'm going to test my little Still 170 and see if I can crack that back and get it to lay diagonally across. And if it ends up hitting the corner, well then I'll tidy that up down there and just chuck it back in here, and it can decompose while the pigs are in here. What a beautiful, beautiful morning. Absolutely spectacular. Hey, you can see how vines rule the world. Vines in a rainforest. Taken over everything. This is my gate, or it will be. It will be my gate. You can see I'm really good at straight lines. Check this out. Cleaning that up. I thought I was going in a straight line. So what happens when you're in the zone with the chainsaw? You know, you think you're going in a straight line. That's life, isn't it? Anyway, that's my job today. Bit more chainsawing. I suppose at least I'll be able to get the car through there with the extra posts. I'm going to end the video here. I'm over at the mulch garden. We're going to do a separate video on this one because there's a lot of information, and I think this little tour has gone a little bit too long today, so I'll let you enjoy this one in a couple of days' time. Okay, have a great weekend. See ya!